Welcome to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in the village, the township. You know, those little government people that make laws, regulations, and ordinances that affect you out there.
That's right, Elgin. And whether you live in the village of Oxford, the village of Leonard, Addison Township, or Oxford Township, these are the people that you went and elected, and the commissions and the committees that make decisions that directly affect you, whether you chose to go to that important meeting or not. The result could be a taxing situation.
And you know, they're all important meetings. And like David said, if you don't attend those meetings, you could very easily miss out on some very important things that might affect you out there. And one of the things that might end up bubbling to the top might be a thing called
Humor.
And his relative, Mr. Humor, and Mrs. Humor, all the humors.
And some humor floats to the top and others sinks
Now,
to the
another
bottom.
thing that occurs on this program that we provide minutes by minute is a thing called,
It rhymes with humor.
yeah, what is it called?
Well, Mr. Rumor Mill, what is it?
It'd be rumors. And this guy sets most of the rumors, as you can tell already.
Yeah,
Okay, David, you ready to go?
absolutely.
All right,
What's in the bag?
All right, let's talk about a couple of meetings that occurred last week. One is Leonard Village Council meeting. The other one is the Oxford Village Council meeting. So we got a couple of council meetings that we're going to discuss.
Always interesting.
I always love talking about the small town of Leonard. I tell you, it's great to step back into a little bit of history when you go to Leonard. It's kind of like stepping back, 30, 40 years?
Well, where they meet, I think that building, Roland Hall, is got to be over 100 and something odd years old.
Oh, you know, it's got to be. And they just really redid some bricking and that kind of thing, you know, to the hall. Yeah,
Point and tuck?
Yep. And I'm sure that they also had to work on the roof, if I'm not mistaken. You know, some of the shingles involved. So, but if you go inside that building, it's a lot like the old schoolhouses that some of you older folks will.
No board floors and
Everything like that. Pretty cool. Anyway, the Leonard Village Council is led by Mike McDonald, who's the president of the village. And sitting on that board is Shar Southerby, who everybody knows is very active in that community and does a great job and has been involved with the Strawberry Festival and other things throughout the community. There's a gentleman, his name is Amirati, and he serves that.
Paul Amirati?
Yeah, that guy.
Amirante.
You know, Amirati.
Okay.
Got it?
Yep.
Close enough? Okay.
Close enough for me.
We changed his name to Smith. Close enough. No, we don't do that. Okay. He does, but I don't. Okay. Then Mr. Hoffman serves on that board as well, and Mr. Kennedy, he's the newest, I think, to the board as trustee. Sitting next to them is Cindy Krosskoff, and she's the clerk, and Judy Verse was there as well, and she's the treasurer. So with that, they did the Pledge of Allegiance and handled the preliminaries. Shar Southerby provided a prayer, and they do that at every meeting, and does a great job in hoping that things go well, you know, with this meeting. And they did, so it must have worked, Shar. Good job. Minutes. August 14th minutes were approved, and then August 31st, which is a special meeting. They also were approved in terms of minutes. No changes or anything along that line. Agenda changes. No agenda changes. Yeah, things are moving along pretty smooth here, aren't we?
Yeah, pretty slick. This is going to be a short program.
Well, I'll see if I can extend it a bit. We'll see. Okay, maybe we could. So they then did the August Treasurer's Report, and it was read and filed. So that pretty standard. Bills for August. Now get this, $5,976.58, and you know that they're broken down in different categories. And this one goes to the general fund, and $337.29 from the major fund, and another fund is called the local fund.
Why is the major fund smaller than the other fund?
I don't know. It's just the way they do things. Okay. So anyway, it would be local fund had $998.33 applied to it. And guess how much was applied to the Parks and Rec fund?
How much?
Zippo, nado. So you're not spending a lot of money there.
There's a lot of volunteers in Parks and Rec out there.
Parks and Rec, really, they could use a little help with the building that they're trying to
the mill?
Yeah, the mill. Renovate the mill.
Right there by the Pollyant Trail.
And next to the Old Stream Mill. I mean, the Old Stream
By the old mill stream.
That one.
You said.
Yeah, and actually we'll talk about the drainage in that area, which is one of the subjects that's going to come up. Can you say flood zone? No, that would be in...
Do they have flood zones here?
Well, it's actually, the town is pretty much built on low-lying land. I think water table's like 4 feet. Stick a shovel in the ground, comes up like bubbling oil. Only it's water.
Well, no need to water the lawns.
Don't have to do that. But right, the grass stays nice and green there. That's what's nice. Okay, so that was all approved. And next thing was any public comment. There were people in the audience.
But they were looking at their shoes.
No, they weren't.
They weren't?
A fella named Dave, he says, hey, I've got a thing or two to say. He says, you're running a drain pipe, he said, down the street here. And he said, I'm wondering why it's not perforated instead of solid drain. And so they listened to him. He had quite a presentation on why they should have used perforated pipe. And the pipe itself, I think, is a...
is it a storm sewer?
Yeah, no, it's draining water off from... So it won't go onto the Pollyant Trail and onto the road.
So it's taking it out of the ground.
No, it's taking off the ground because they got kind of a small lake that accumulates every time it rains.
Well, if it's perforated, it's taking it from the ground.
Yeah, and it's got to have a way to drain, though, saturate into the soil. And it's pointed out that the soil isn't inducive to that. An engineering report said the best thing to do is get that water out of there and have it go into a...
Detention pond.
One of those, yes.
Yes. I remember those subjects.
Right. And besides, it was pointed out that perforated type have been used before, but in a clay type tile, and they actually plug up
Clogs,
for a period of time. So you have to,
We had that happen on our property.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's not surprising. Very similar.
Yeah. If you don't, especially if you don't pack it well with gravel and stuff.
But you have little gerbils going by with little canoes in your front yard, I think. That's a rumor that's out in your area, in Brandon Township.
Oh, well. God's country.
So what do you do with the drainage there? You just let the drains plug and
No.
you let the water rise?
It works very well now.
Oh, okay. Would you use dynamite to free it up, or?
No. Good pottery clay, though. Wow.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it. Okay. So anyway, the president explained to him why the engineers are going this route, and he said, "Okay, that's good." So he sat down. Another fellow, his name is Mike. He stood up and he said he had concerns about the bar and grill. Question concerning
There's a bar and grill there?
Yeah. Well, I don't think so. I don't think they approved it.
Oh.
And he wanted to have a liquor license or so, and that was another subject which was handled before. So President McDonald, he's so
Where were they going to put a bar and grill?
Yeah. I don't know.
I know there's two general
They
stores
could do it
there.
in a kiosk.
A kiosk?
I don't think there's room for a kiosk.
With a drive-through, I don't know.
They could do, yeah. Yeah, all right. They could give a hamburger with every jigger of beer or whatever they give. Right? I think they're keeping that town pretty safe and dry, is what I think. Not only are they draining it, they're not allowing...
basically, there was a proposal to have a bar and grill, and it got turned down.
It did.
Okay.
So the president said that he didn't want to reinvent the wheel on this one and let it go. So the guy said, okay, fine. So he sat down. Let me see, the next thing, Oakland County is offering what they call pictography. Have you heard of that?
What's it called?
Pictography service.
Aerial photographs?
Yes.
Oh.
And it's on their computer in Oakland County.
It's on Google, too.
And Google, too. And actually, on their computer, they said that they would make that information available to Leonard if they're interested.
Oh.
Get this, the price. Free.
Ooh, the best price of all.
Yes, and that's what the chairman and president said. He said, that's a great opportunity for us. We'll go ahead and we'll sign up for that if you approve. And they did. They voted on it. They approved it.
I know Oakland County has some really sophisticated things. I got on one of their sites, and it not only had a map, it laid out all the plats and bounds of all the property.
Yeah. And like you say, a lot of this information you get on Google. It's all accessible, to the various townships, too. So with that, we'll be back right after this, folks.
Canine Stray Rescue does just that. Rescue stray dogs for new families. But they need your help. Become a volunteer at Canine Stray Rescue League of Michigan. Take dogs for walks, help them socialize with others, and help them get adopted. Fill out an application and help a family add a new member today.
Welcome back, Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we are talking about the Leonard Village Council meeting that occurred. And the next subject that they were talking about is old business. And the old business that they discussed was Elm Street construction. Remember, they're
redoing it, yeah.
They're going to redo it. And the way it looks right now is they wanted to sell bonds, municipal bonds. And they're looking for buyers or purchasers of the bond to be able to, finance this.
Well, how much is they're trying to finance?
Well, $150,000 is what they're looking for. And there was a taker. There's a bank. A taker willing to, buy the bonds. And that would be Oxford Bank. But the Oxford Bank agreed to do it, but at a higher rate, because not everybody is accepting small municipal bonds. This isn't a large amount. And in terms of the bank receiving enough interest on the bonds for a long period would be short.
How much was the interest jacked up?
4.62 is the interest for 15 years, which is a little high, But here's the thing: they were
when you're practically getting nothing in the bank anyhow.
But they had time restraints. They had a critical thing here in the time that they had to start this project. So they were really held over a barrel. They did go to Rochester Bank, I guess, and talk to people there, but they were not interested in taking municipal bonds. So I think the president really didn't have a lot of choices.
A lot of that has to do with the credit rating of a municipality.
It does.
And how is Leonard's credit rating?
Well, they're pretty stable, but here's the thing. By not pursuing this maybe sooner, trying to get things
trying to do it quickly.
Nailed down. It's going to cost them roughly $500 a year more in terms of interest by going this route for a 15-year period. So that's a bummer, isn't it?
Yeah, well.
For the little town of Leonard, it would be a real bummer.
I think they can tough it out.
Well, they're disappointed with it, but, like the president said, it is what it is.
It is what it is, and it's got to be done.
It's got to be done. So that brought into the schedule for road repairs. And he said on Thursday the 14th, which by the time you folks see this program, already began, and that would be the traffic control signs will be going up and the barriers. And then on the 16th, they will continue with the process. And on the 18th, storm sewer repairs will begin on between White House and 4th Streets. So you folks living within that zone.
Are these private contractors that are doing this, or is it through Oakland County?
No, these are private contractors. Well, Oakland County is going to do the road.
Okay.
But the other things are done by subcontractors.
Okay.
And let's see, paving shortly after, of course, when they crush the street, which will be October 3rd. You're going to see that road all crushed up. And by that time, then shortly after, you'll find it. The county will come in, they'll pave it. It'll be done.
Ta-da.
Except, it's supposed to get done by October 13th, and it will be, but it's not really going to be concluded in terms of the contract until sometime in the springtime, just in case there's some problems during the winter thaw and, freeze. So, good idea. Then,
in case they have to tweak it.
Yeah, right. He did talk about road engineering, which is part of this thing, and road engineering cost is $69,000 in order to do the work on the engineering side, which is a $20,000 savings over what other companies were proposing. So good thing. Road engineering is helping them out there. They're going to do sidewalks along the post office only. They're not going to do the sidewalks on the opposite side of the street on Rowland Hall. So that's the thing that the villagers will have to pay for, when you decide to do it and when the funds are available. By the way, that water pipe that they're going to be running to take care of some of the water, that's a 10-inch pipe they're going to be running. So just so you know that. I know you were wondering that. Oh, yeah. I see the wonder look.
10-inch. Is that 10-inch diameter or 10-inch radius or what?
Yes.
Okay. How about circumference?
That'd be close.
Okay.
Okay. It spits out water. I know that. It receives water and
it's not perforated.
It's not perforated. Solid pipe. Okay. let me see, that would be the Whitehead Street drains that they'll start working on, and Davison Street. Let me see, curbing and...
Where do these drains drain to?
Into a culvert arrangement. And that's a subject that came up too.
A culvert is nothing more than another pipe.
Yeah, it is. But there's an opening and a cover for it. And where it's located, pipes or...
It's like a French drain or something, or what?
No, you've seen them alongside the highway. It's kind of I got a name for it, but I can't remember it, and we don't have time enough on this show. So anyway, what happens where it's located is that these large trucks pull in, to service some of the businesses in that area.
Okay.
And they run over it, and they have a tendency to damage it. So they're trying to figure a way to keep these trucks from damaging it, if they're going to circumvent them and send them in a different direction or what.
The water goes through the pipes to the culvert?
Yeah, and it drains into... It's a cess unit, a cesspool type.
No, but not a retention or a detention pond.
No, that'll eventually drain into wetlands.
But it's more like a French drain then. It's buried and it just drains through.
Tell me more, my son.
No.
That's what I mean, he's limited. Ask him a question, there it goes.
Oh, I seek wisdom from you.
Oh no.
And what do I get?
Is he in disappointment? That's what you're going to get, disappointment. Okay, hopefully folks out there won't be disappointed with this though. The cost of drilling pipe that is now plugged, because it's plugged right now, to replace it with the other drain would run $2,300. And there's a couple of areas where there are some of these lines that are plugged. So the question was, should we go forward with it or should we cap it off, until we have the money? The point was taken, well, we need to take care of it now since we're doing this. So they did approve $2,300, actually $2,500 was no more than $2,500 in order to go forward with it and get it fixed. Good move on their part, I think. President's report, 4 West Elmwood Street, ordinance information, permit has not been completed yet, so there's still junk being, tossed out here and there and whatever. And 4285 4th Street also, there's a gentleman, they were notified that a garage was going up and he had not pulled a permit. So he knocked on his door and said, how would you like to tear this garage down? So anyway, he said, oh, no, I'll get a permit. So he came in and he got a permit. So that took care of it. By the way, President McDonald took care of that issue. He didn't send out the fire trucks and the police and the men with pitchforks.
Personally knocked on the door?
He personally knocked on the door.
Oh, okay.
It's good. That's what they do over there. If there's an issue.
Well, there's not that many doors.
Yeah, not that many doors. Could be. Well, there's a few that have been around for a while. They wanted to let the public know that watch out in October for advertising in Leonard for the Texas Hold'em that they're going to have.
Where's that going to be held?
I don't know. There would be more information given. They just said, mention it. Well,
and you did.
Yeah. Little taste buds get going, and then folks that are interested in Texas Hold'em, it's a great place to have them out there. There's about 3 people show up, so you got a chance to win some money.
Okay.
No, there's a lot of people that show up, so don't be surprised at this one. Okay. Review. Cable Communications Commission was reviewed by Shar Sotheby, and she discussed a new station location, which we've discussed that on the station here as well. Potential, yes. Now, the next subject we're going to talk about is the Oxford Village Council. The president of the council is Sue Bassardit. Eric Dolan serves on that board, but he was absent the other evening. Dave Bailey and Maureen Helmuth and Tom Kennis, who that was his last night. That was September 12th. He's resigned, from the council. And also present were Bob Davis, the attorney, and Evan Teach, who is the acting village manager, as well as Drew, who is assistant, trainee in place or intern.
When Mr. Kennis quit, he has to be replaced in a certain amount of time.
He does, and there's a couple of applications in, I guess. I can't give you any of that information yet because nothing has been confirmed. We'll talk more. We'll come back right after that. Welcome Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kinney.
And we're here talking about the Oxford Village Council meeting was held September 12th. And the first thing that came up, of course, they Pledge of Allegiance and get the preliminaries settled. And the first item on the agenda was special items area. And what it involved is contract approval for the police chief position.
That's right, they just made him permanent, didn't they?
And that was reviewed, and he was sworn in. And he, the person we're talking about, is Mike Sowell,
Yep.
who's
Good
been
guy.
with the police force for 17 years. I see yellow lights, do you? Anyway, see that for you? I see lights all over. But anyway, that
How
would be
often
the
have you
lights.
seen these lights?
Often, every time a car goes by, yellow lights, I see them. Anyway, that being said, we'll go forward. Contract was approved, of course. The new chief was sworn in. And let me see, recess was directly afterwards where cake was served. Let them have cake, right?
Well,
And that went pretty well. Clinton River
they
Watershed.
do well at these meetings, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Clinton Watershed Council. There's a representative there for the Clinton River Watershed. I don't know if you're familiar with them. It's a nonprofit organization. They've been around for, what, 45 years or so.
Yeah.
And
Keep it flowing, keep it clean.
keep it flowing, keep it clean. Protect the water resources is a primary reason for them being in existence. They do take donations, either both public and, of course, government entities such as the village and township, which they all support it. Education, of course, they provide education as to how to keep clean water for the lakes and rivers and whatever for school kids from K through 12th grade. To manage stormwater, that's part of the process as well. Gave a good presentation, and it looks as though we're going to stick with that in terms of the village. Call to public, non-agenda items. Okay, we had, let me see, a fellow named Kevin. He stood up and he said Oxford Lakes, he's from Oxford Lakes subdivision, and he wanted to talk trash. I said trash. And the problem is a company who was taken over collection of trash.
I thought you were going to talk about WWE.
Yeah,
They
one of
talk
those
trash all the
guys.
time.
But anyway, the company who was taken over is a Canadian company, and I guess apparently they're not picking up all the trash. They're skipping some locations on the east side of town.
Oh, yeah.
Not so much on the west side, though.
Weren't they supposed to sort of retrain those guys that were doing that?
Yeah, I think so.
Re-educate them?
I think that would be it.
I see.
I'm not sure if that's happening, though. But anyway, so the complaint came in, and of course, Rose Bima, who served on several boards, she said, well, she has the same complaint. And actually, Tom Kennis stood up, and he said, well, I'm in Oxford Lakes, and he said, we have that problem. So he said, we need to have it looked at. And the acting village manager, who was Evan Teach, said, well, I will take this under advisement, and we will contact their attorney through Bob Davis, who's the village attorney, and we'll get this straightened out. So it's a good thing. They're making a move on
I think they would contact the manager.
Right. Next thing was bills. Bills are coming up, $84,936.66. And that was approved immediately. Unfinished business was the next thing. They said, well, what about holding the check for Republic Services, who was the old pickup service for trash? And
Was there an issue there?
well, there was, because they're complaining that they're not picking up the trash, and the point was made that they did the check on it, and dumpsters were being picked up, which is part of a separate part of the contract, and that they should not hold up payment on the dumpsters because they're doing their job on that. So they did pay the check for the dumpsters, but they're actually holding out the actual services for home pickup. So anyway, they'll get them straightened out. The new company is GFL, which I said is a Canadian company. So they're trying to do their best, get this straightened out, and they had quite a mess, I guess, when they took over the business.
Not to be confused with GFS.
Not to be confused. Let me see. Tom Kennis said that he feels that the new service is working, but they need to, get to the side of the east side of the business and get it straightened out.
I see.
So anyway, Attorney Bob Davis is going to talk to him and get it straightened out. Power wash water tower, Glaspie Street. Don Brantley is the director for DPW, and he said that they need to wash that tower. That tower is grimy. Let's get it cleaned up. A few years ago, 2011, they actually painted the tower.
Oh.
And had it taken care of, and there was some rust spots and that kind of thing where it was taken care of. You still see yellow lights flashing? I see the yellow light. Do you see them?
I see yellow lights now.
Oh, okay. Oh.
I think I caught it. Oh.
I think the car just turned the corner. Okay. Anyway, the lights are gone. Anyway, so hopefully they'll be back when just the right time. So the cost of power washing the tower is $4,000, and it was immediately approved. Public comment.
It's a long hose to get a power washer.
It is a long one. Yeah, I would use a bungee cord if I was up there or something and keep me intact. I don't know. Is that steel or stainless?
What?
Oh, I don't know. I don't recall.
What the tower's made of, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't
Otherwise,
know.
they use magnets. Just stick you there. I was thinking you'd volunteer for that.
I don't think
You do that.
Well, water tends to get rusty on the inside. I don't think stainless steel holds up that well to rust.
Probably not. Anyway, public comment, resident. He talked about Tom Kennison, what a great job he did while he was on the board, and thanked him. And he thanked the board, the council, for allowing Mike Niemanowski, who's a retired police chief, to speak in behalf of Mike Solwell. And he did a nice presentation, I think, for Mike. Gave him a hug and all that good stuff. Yep. Tears were all over the place. You know, not enough Kleenexes to go around. But anyway, it worked out really good. Actually, Mike Solwell's mom and dad were there, along with a lot of his friends and his wife, of course.
Well,
Pinned the badge on him.
It was quite an honor.
Ouch, that hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, congratulations to Mike Solwell.
You bet.
A great choice, I think, for the village council. Rose Bema, she also thanked Tom Kennis for a great job he did. Bob Scott, you remember Bob?
Yeah.
He's been around the community for a long time. He and his wife, really super nice people. He thanked the council, and he said it's a thankless job, and you know, hang in there. So anyway, good pep talk by Bob Scott. Manager's report. Evan Teach said that the property ordinance complaints that have happened, he said they're following up on those, and he said there's people who comply immediately after they talk to them about ordinance infraction, and there's others who don't. He says we see them in court. He said we're taking this very serious for you folks out there. If you're in
What kind of infractions are we talking about
well, if
here?
you're talking something against the ordinance, or you got a wrecked car sitting on your park lot and your front lawn, if you let your grass grow up to the height of an elephant's tail, something along that line, you know, then you're going to get a warning. Financial condition, he said that the audit it will be in about 2 weeks, and he said accounts payable and receivables are under control within the village. He said that they are handling the budget as we speak, and he said it's coming along quite well. M24 is the big one. He said the planning for 2019, he said for grants and state grants amounting to about 70%. The village still needs about $400,000 for the streetscape,
I would
that kind
assume
of thing.
that would start in either the spring or summer of 2019, wouldn't it?
I think they're looking at around July or June, I think, in that area.
Right.
So we'll have to see how that happens. 3 people are very instrumental in doing this. James Petrino, who was an acting village manager before Evan Teach came in, and Glenn Pape, who is the new DDA director, and Evan Teach, of course. Very involved in this and searching out support and effort to resolve the financial issues. Officer Churchill was mentioned as doing a great job for the local police department, as was Sean Brown. I want to mention them before we went further. There were no final statements other than for the President Bossardet, who said, again, thanks Tom Kennis for the great job he did. What's up?
Well, we don't have that many meetings. It's the end of the month, of course. 9:25 at 4 o'clock, the Oxford Area Cable Communications Commission,
Hey.
our parent body, it will be meeting. And that's usually at the Village of Oxford. And on 9/26 at 6:30, the Oxford Board of Education will be meeting at Leonard Elementary.
Oh, okay.
And on 10/2 at 7 o'clock, the Village of Oxford Zoning Board of Appeals, otherwise known as ZBA.
That's it, huh?
Yep, that's it.
That's wonderful. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
Catch you next time right here on Minutes by Minute.
See you then.